In 2009, a sci-fi first-person shooter game called The Conduit came out for the Nintendo Wii, and it was 100% the Wii game that killed Halo. Okay, not really, but it was still a pretty decent game, and the second game was good too. In The Conduit, Washington DC is invaded by aliens called the Drudge. They come from portals called conduits. You play as Agent Michael Ford, and it's your job to stop them. As Ford, you go throughout Washington DC, killing all these aliens and some human enemies too, trying to stop this invasion. Many of the levels are famous landmarks, like the Library of Congress, and one level takes place even at the Pentagon.
You gotta wake up, please!
Lyle, turn on the TV! They hit the Pentagon! They hit the fucking Pentagon!
I remember enjoying the campaign. The Drud had interesting designs. They were like insect-like creatures, and their guns were also weird bug design-like weapons. There were also a lot of Easter eggs in the story that you could find with your ASE, which stands for All-Seeing Eye. I forgot to mention that during the campaign, Ford has like a sidekick named Prometheus, who speaks to him through the All-Seeing Eye, which is a floating ball device that talks to him. Now, I'm not gonna say with 100% certainty that Destiny stole this from the Conduit, but I don't know, it seems really similar to me. Anyways, the story leads you to many secret underground places as more of the story unfolds. Like how a man named John Adams is actually behind this invasion and works with the aliens. In the final level, Adam escapes through a portal and Ford goes after him, leading to the sequel. There is also a post-credits scene that shows Adams having a conversation with a really big alien about taking over the world. Man, what a huge plot point. I can't wait to see what they do with that in the sequel. That plot point never comes up again. But before I talk about the sequel, I think I should talk about the multiplayer of The Conduit, as most of my good memories of this game come from its multiplayer. The Conduit's multiplayer was really fun, but kind of odd. I want to say it works exactly how Halo's multiplayer did, but I barely played Halo, so I can't say for certain. But I remember, everyone in the lobby had to pick what loadout they would use. I think it varied depending on which mode you picked. Sorry, this was over a decade ago, so my memory is a tiny bit foggy. I remember sometimes I could use different weapons than everyone else, but other times I remember every player having the same loadout, which sometimes pissed 12-year-old me off because only rocket launchers got picked, and while that can be fun, it can get pretty annoying if that's all that's getting picked. The Conduit's multiplayer was also really glitchy. I think the whole game might have been glitchy too, but I remember the multiplayer being kind of a disaster, but in a fun way. There were so many spots where you could just clip into the ceiling and many out of bounds areas. Honestly, there's probably too many glitches to list, but I remember it being kind of funny coming across all these glitches. I think one of the funniest glitches that happened was I killed an enemy player before the match ended, and during the loading screen, I saw that player model walk across the screen and die again, and that made me laugh pretty hard. I also met a lot of people on the Conduit who were super funny and formed many friendships from the game. The two strongest connections I made were with two players who went by SmashBoy64 and 21 Rose, which I called him XXI Rose for years, and I don't know why no one ever corrected me, but that's besides the point. For voice chat, the Conduit used We Speak, which looking back on it was a terrible idea. Because whatever another player would say would come out of your TV speakers. I remember a couple of times Smashboy would moan like a girl, and one time my mom was nearby and just leaned into my room giving me a funny look. Like she wasn't angry at me. It was more like a that boy ain't right kind of thing. But I had a lot of fun playing with everyone in the Conduit multiplayer. There was also this machinima called the Conduidiots, and I friended the creator of the series. I believe how you say his name is Smoke123 or Smoke123. And what's really funny is that we played a couple of games together and that was it. But I added him on Wii U and Switch, but we haven't actually interacted since the Wii days. But I guess we will both keep being on each other's friends list with a Switch 2 as well. I made a lot of friends and had a lot of good times with my online friends, but unfortunately, Like with most cases, the group has mostly fallen apart. I've got Smash Boy on Facebook, but he just plays exclusively VR games now, and I'm not into that. It's a fad, Smash Boy. It'll never catch on. Just go back to playing regular video games. We miss you. As for 21 Rose, he works at like a hospital or something, so he's out here being a regular, responsible adult. So he doesn't have much time to play video games. And the dude who introduced me to the group, I believe his username was Crazy Biohazard, fell off the face of the earth. Though it kinda sucks we all mostly went our separate ways, or can't really get the group back together often, I still made a lot of cool childhood memories with the boys, and that's cool. Man, I was trying to make that last part not sound like a downer. Anyways, let's talk about the Conduit 2. The Conduit came out on April 19th, 2011, which, I'm not gonna lie, was not the best move by High Voltage Software, the developers of the Conduit series. In case you don't know what other game came out on that day, well, it was nothing big, just Mortal Kombat 9. So yeah, walking into GameStop was weird. Like, I didn't ask the question, and the worker didn't bring it up, but I just got the vibe that I was literally the only person in my town who pre-ordered this game. Like, everyone else was there for MK9, and here I was, picking up this niche Wii game. Anyways, the Conduit 2 starts right off where the last game left off at. Agent Ford comes out of the portal, and we're on an oil rig, and we have to blast through all these enemies to get to Adams. There have been some gameplay improvements from the first game, like how you can aim down sights. Anyways, at the end of the level, you fight this Leviathan boss, and Adam gets away again. Earlier on in the story, Ford ends up in this hub-like world, and there's another character named Andromeda that sends you to multiple locations throughout the world that the Drudge are messing up. Teenage me thought she was super hot, and looking at the character again, I wasn't wrong, but I mean she's like 480p. Before I go on, talking about later events in the story, I think I need to bring something up about the Conduit 2. So between the first game and the second game, there's a pretty big tonal shift. In the first game, the game is a serious game, and there are very few jokes. While in the second game, they changed the voice actor to the same guy who voices Duke Nukem, and there's a lot of one-liners, and it's just a very lighthearted and silly game, which I'm not sure why the devs did that. I wouldn't say it ruins the series, but it was just such a strange choice. Anyways, you go through all these portals to take you all around the world. The levels are more open compared to the first game. I remember one of the levels pulls a Halo 3, and there are actually some drudges that are on your side. So once you do all these missions, it's time for the final battle. Ford and Adams fight it out, and you beat Adams, and then something happens at the end of the game. And I think I should just show you it first before explaining it.
What the? Okay.
It could have been anyone, but it was you. You who doomed us all.
What the? You're here to help.
Okay, so if you still don't know what just happened, then let me explain it. So you defeat the boss of this game, a portal opened up, and George Washington and Abraham Lincoln in power armor came out and said they were here to help. That is how this game ends. It has been over a decade, and I am still in disbelief that this was a real ending to a video game I played. Like, it is so mind-boggling. I mean, part of me wanted to see a Conduit 3, but with that ending, I don't know if a 3 would have been a good idea. Because, like, where was the story even going? Like, where do you go from here? Like, I love stupid things, but I like stupid cool. And honestly, I think the Conduit 2's ending just falls under stupid. I don't know, maybe some people in the comments will disagree with me. But yeah, that's how the Conduit series ends. I didn't play much of the multiplayer this time. I remember it being alright. And there was a glitch where you could play with unlockable character models without having to grind for them, but that's about it. So yeah, the Conduit 2 was the last game in the series, and that's about it. I know the first game, or maybe even both games, were ported to mobile platforms. But that seems to be the last of the Conduit news. High Voltage Software is still around, but it seems like they only do mobile games now, so I don't think there's any hope for a Conduit 3. But again, that might be a good thing, because what was that ending? Anyways, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to leave a like, comment, or even subscribe to the channel if you like what you saw. I have been Crazy Blood Monkey, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!